Okay, this first match is underway already, almost at the midway mark in this one. And Goldie Rogers taking on Brian Wilson. And Goldie Rogers on top of things right now, Bulldog.
Well, certainly Goldie Rogers is looking better every day. You know, last week he won a big match, and he told me earlier in the dressing room, Bulldog, I don't know what it is. Every time it seems that you're sitting on the table, I come out and I do my very best, and I'm on a big winning streak. And today he's got a tremendous athlete in Brian Wilson.
Well, you look at Goldie Rogers, of course, hailing from Hollywood, California. His opponent, Brian Wilson from Fresno, California. And Frank Sisson, I guess you could say, a little colder up here in Canada this time of year, but things are heating up with these two men from California right now.
Well, while we were doing our introductions here earlier, of course, they were getting into the match, and as you see, he's got a good hold on him there, and it's been most interesting, and certainly a lot warmer up here, and I think even a little warmer than where you're from, Mr. Brown there. Bulldog from Winnipeg.
It's certainly nice to talk to you, Frank. I just want to tell the people that you finally opened up your wallet and bought my coffee previous to the card. I thought it was great, and I thought it was very generous of Frank.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Nobody will call you a coffee mate, Bulldog Bob Brown, because I'll tell you, worked with you in Winnipeg many a times, right here in Calgary, and this Goldie Rogers looking more impressive as weeks go on here. And right now he's taking on the young man from Fresno. We're talking about Brian Wilson, a newcomer to these parts up here in Canada. And a welcome sight here to the CNWA as well. Great up-and-coming young stars here.
This is what you got to have. You got to generate a lot of things. You want the people to come out and see what you got. You got to give them something so they'll pay the top dollar. And right now, I think this is a great organization, even though sometimes I'm against a few things, like outside interference and a lot of things like that. Frank, all I can tell you is you're doing a fine and mighty good job also.
Well, I appreciate all your kind comments, but what happened about outside interference last week when you got in there and they had no right as far as I'm concerned? What do you think, Joseph? They have the right to be in the ring last week?
That's right. Yeah, you didn't, Bulldog. You did not have the right at all to be in the ring last week. That's the reason you're holding on to the towel for the Angel of Death today. And Frank, you brought up a good point, because he'll come on right now and tell you it was his decision, but he was forced into that situation. Bulldog, why do you have a smile on your face?
Well, because you both people are watching a television match, and both of you are watching different matches than I am. As you can see, I only went in the ring last week to help out the referee who was knocked down. What was that $50 fine for?
Well, I guess because he had a chokehold on him, and Bulldog, you'd know a lot about those, but I'll give Goldie Rogers credit here, an impressive-looking chin lock right now on Brian Wilson, and referee Ed Langley says it's totally clean, believe it or not.
Well, I still don't understand Ed Langley, the referee, and two great competitors, but the $50 fine, I think it's a little cheap.
Well, I can tell you this, that if he paid him $50 or fined him $50 there for your choke, you could end up, you might as well give us your your check right now, because you could end up with a lot of problems today, unless you don't get him in the ring.
You've got an answer for everything, don't you, Frank? Okay, Joe.
Well, we've got a good-looking match going so far. Goldie Rogers and Brian Wilson. And wrestling fans, stay tuned. Later on in the program, we've got a dandy of a tag team affair. The Great Gamma tagging up with Duke Myers, a man I call the cab driver. They're taking on Randy Thatcher and Winnipeg's own Ron Ritchie. I guess you could call them to the Canadian Connection. Now, they will be here. It should be a good one.
Well, nobody knows Ron Ritchie better than I do. Of course, you know, Ron Ritchie's an outstanding individual. Great athlete. He's been out of wrestling now for a couple months, but during those couple months, he's been training hard, and he knew this new promotion was coming in. He's starting around, and I'm glad to see Ron Ritchie back.
Well, Goldie Rogers and actually Brian Wilson with the turnaround and a big clothesline on Rogers, and the capacity crowd here at the Silver Dollar Action Center showing a vote of approval, if you will. Wilson trying to pick him up for some, but Rogers turning it around. Test the strength here.
Let me remind you something to both of you guys. You see, last week when I came here, your building was empty. The second week I arrived, hey, you got a big packed house. You know why? There's something they want to see. They want to see the Bulldog in action.
Well, they may want to see you in action, but also I noticed the fire department's here with a lot of fire hydrants, so that might hold you up, because that could be your kind of action.
What are you laughing for, Joe?
Because Frank's got you tied up in knots one more time, Bulldog. Right now, Brian Wilson going up for that monkey flip. Oh, and Rogers putting on the brakes. Goldie Rogers coming down with an elbow on the young man from Fresno, California, Brian Wilson. And Rogers showing some experience here. Set him up, neck breaker. Devastating maneuver there by Goldie Rogers. This one could be it. 2 and 3, it's all over. I'll tell you one thing, we were talking about him looking more and more impressive as weeks go on, Bulldog Bob Brown. And once again, whether you like him or not, he's your winner this week. The young man from Hollywood, California, the man that thinks he's the sexiest wrestler going today, Goldie Rogers.
Well, all I can tell you is he's on a big winning streak, 2 in a row, and I'll tell you, I couldn't be more happier than Goldie Rogers. Goldie Rogers is walking over towards me. I'll bet Goldie Rogers has got a lot to tell me.
Yeah, I want to talk to you, Jack. Where are all these punks coming from? Yeah. Why don't you shut your mouth? Why don't you shut it up, Jack? Shut up.
Well, listen,
Shut that thing here. Shut up.
let me remind you one thing. Just don't pay any attention to what you hear in the background. All you have to do is tell me. I know it's 3 wins in a row. You got a lot of title matches coming up, a lot of new belts on the line, and I guarantee you one thing. If there's anybody around here that could beat a few of these loudmouths and these wild-groomed individuals is one.
Every once in a
Yes,
while.
slap them.
Yeah, slap him right in the head, Jack. Yeah, and I don't have to listen to you morons because your intelligence level is too low for me, Jack. I'll just slap them all, Jack. You know that, Brown. I'll slap them all. Right?
Well, what did I tell you? He's always got something to say, but he's going to slap them all. And after all, the bottom line, he won again.
Well, all I know is Goldie Rogers calls everybody in the building Jack, including you. And he's got my name wrong, too, as far as I'm concerned.